as we get older, we want to have some sort of drill effect into, because there's always breeze around, and you don't want that weak shot. Okay, when you're young, you probably have that, you know, get away with the left to right and everything else. So, of course, you want to sort of get that forward movement of the ball, so it's going through that breeze. So, of course, you're going to go a little bit right to left. The optimum shot when I'm trying to go outside and then bring it instead of going straight. So you go straight, your face angle is closed, and your swing path is on a positive level. But is the optimum to actually get that positive number going to the swing path with just a neutral face? Is that the path? So if I'm hitting it at +2 in the swing path, but virtually -1 in the face angle, that will deliver that because I tend to go straight left more than getting it to the right.
Okay, that is a good question. So can you see here, it says face angle, change the face angle while keeping club path. Yeah, so club path is the divot. Remember this image here that we had before? So this one here. So my blue line tends to go a little bit more to the left, and then I have a club face angle, which is the red one, where that thing's pointing. So in relation to where my club is swinging, I've got to make sure that the club face is matching up to that. If I change my swing, now I'm actually working with a whole different set of numbers. Yeah, so I've got to make sure that I'm swinging as consistent as I possibly can, and I'm not trying to swing into out or out to in, that sort of stuff there. So to find what that optimal number is, we're looking for half the amount of whatever your swing is. So if I bring up club path, this number here, whatever that number is, so if I am trying to hit a draw, I know that this golf club has to work that way to create a draw. Yeah, it's really hard, it's no point hitting a draw this way because it just ends up going left and left. Yes, I have to move the golf club that way. So in relation to this, I've got to work out, can I move the golf club that way? So I want to see a positive number there if I'm trying to move the golf club that way. And what Rick was saying here is, based on this, from the information that we now know, this number should be half of that, which means correct.
So 7.6, what is that, 3.8?
Yep. Open. So 3.8 degrees open in relation to target line. Correct. We feel it's closed, but in relation to target line, it has to be open. Why? Because if I'm launching this golf, remember 80% of where this thing is pointing, the golf ball reacts to. So if I'm thinking draw, and I'm thinking this, so this is my target line, I'm thinking this, where's the ball going to take off? Yeah. And then if I do that, now I hit the tree that I'm trying to go around and then go further left. So the golf club, to hit a draw, and this is probably the hardest thing when it comes to the draw, it's like we want to technically think, I've got to start it right. So this thing's got to be pointing right of where I want to go. And then from there have the ability to move the golf club further right. And this is what we're saying, psychologically that is extremely hard to do if I'm used to hitting the thing left to right, left to right, left to right, left to right. But once we start to understand it, it's like, oh, it is what it is. I'm okay with my feelings being different. It's like, I know I need to do that. What does that feel like? I'm in a controlled environment where no one's judging me. I'm just going, what does that feel like? Oh yeah, I'm now moving it to 0. Oh, I've got it to 4 degrees. I've got it to 10 degrees, whatever it is. I don't care where the golf ball's going. I just want to make sure that I can move that golf club that way. So if I can do that, now I've only got one job, is just to make sure that club's pointing where I want it to point. So if I can do that, now club's pointing a little bit right. I'm doing that. The ball has to start right and then draw back to the middle of the fairway. So even through here, I've got a club face pointing 2 degrees to the right. Based on what we know, 80% of the golf ball takes off based on that. So it's going to take off close to the target line, if not a little bit to the right. I now know that the golf club's definitely moving that way. It tells me it's 7.6 degrees. So I would expect this golf shot to start on the target line, draw back to that. So when we start to really, what's the word that I'm hone in what we are actually doing here, you don't even need the actual golf shot. It's like, I know that plus that has to do that. There's only two things here. Once the golf ball's gone, I've got no control over it. Puff of wind can come up and push it to the right. I've got no control over that, but I know that that's that. It's a great question. It's a half. Think of club face, half of path. In relation to distance, so again, what Rick was talking about is getting this penetrating type of flight. So we want to try and maximise the distance that we get out of these things. Traditionally, it was known that if I hit a draw, the ball will go further. However, modern day players are now hitting fades, and they're still getting a shitload of distance out of these things. Yeah. So if I can control the trajectory of this golf ball, because as a fade's concerned, what tends to happen is we end up spinning these things up. If I can control the spin and hit that same fade, it'll go just as far. So if I hit that exact same shot in the reverse pattern, it would go the exact same shot and the exact same distance. And this is where I really didn't understand how good these golfers were out there until we started to look at this and you start to implement it. You start like, holy fuck, this is a hard game. You really start to appreciate it. It's like, man, these guys are doing it under pressure and they have to do it, so they've got a living for the next year and so on and so forth. It's like, man.
Is it just the getting through factor when they hit the ball? A lot of them, you lean back and of course you add loft and of course you lose
Correct.
distance. So these people, these really, really good golfers, they actually get through the ball.
Correct. Which is
in that minus factor.
correct. And this is what we're talking about. It's like, yeah, exactly right. If I can control that loft, it doesn't matter if I'm hitting a draw or a fade, that's going to have a really strong flight, behind it. Yeah. Correct. Exactly right.